I chose the name Philosophical Mysticism because originally I believed that it was the clearest and most self-explanatory name possible. However, when I step back from myself and examine the term objectively, I can see a certain tension between these two words, philosophy and mysticism. These ideas have had many appendages added to them over the centuries that have gradually driven them apart. This was not always the case. In this short introduction, I hope to explain what I mean by the term and what the aim of this channel ultimately will be. Today, when one thinks of philosophy, generally the mind turns towards academia. Perhaps you see a Frenchman morosely puffing away at his cigarette while lamenting on the emptiness and alienation he is feeling. Perhaps a linguistic philosopher comes to your mind, the obsessing over minute details of language and the impossibility of being. This is all quite wonderful in its own regard, and this channel does not exist to demonize academic philosophy, but instead to resurrect its older counterpart, sometimes called classical philosophy, but more accurately and more simply titled philosophy, the love of wisdom. The early existentialist, Søren Kierkegaard, used the term reduplication to describe any philosophy that can be acted out or lived with. He allegorically described the purely theoretical philosophies as great mansions that one can only live beside in a small shack. Here we are primarily concerned with reduplication, and principally with personal reduplication, as opposed to social philosophies which subject the lives of others to our theoretical imaginings. Mysticism has perhaps undergone less of a transformation over the centuries. However, its reputation is at an all-time low. Personally, I consider this disdain to be well-deserved. Mysticism today is a den of charlatans, misguided fools, and megalomaniacs. While I imagine it wasn't always so fraudulent, I am not under any illusion that human beings in past centuries were immune to these traps of delusion. Why should I sully the good name of philosophy by associating it with these raving lunatics? The answer is simple. Mysticism is both the best and the worst of us. It is our highest aspiration and our most desperate escapism. In order for us to discern the best from the worst, we need to have honed our judgment. We need to have philosophy. So mysticism needs philosophy. But does philosophy need mysticism? If one follows skepticism, for as far as the human mind can take it, we begin to see a pattern emerging. Every question can be followed by an assertion, and every assertion can be followed by a question, and so on for infinity. Try it for yourself. Think of any statement that is generally considered true, and ask the words so often uttered by children, but why? Perhaps you will have an answer. Ask again, but why? Do this for as long as you can. You will find the more abstract the question, the shorter the sequence will be. For example, it is far simpler to answer questions about observable phenomena than it is to answer questions such as, is mathematics dependent on the same laws as nature, and does it always correspond to nature? At this point, a mystical charlatan would jump at the chance to point out that reason has its limits, and therefore the answer must be God or some supernatural force. Charlatans love nothing more than impressing us with their apparent mastery of science and reason, only to conclude that it is ultimately useless. Instead, I would suggest the opposite. True mysticism, as opposed to charlatanism, is not the rejection of skepticism, but the extension of it. Not just doubt for what is observed, but to doubt also the observer. This inward skepticism is aided by introspection and quiet observation, which we call meditation. Philosophy, when partnered with mysticism, finds itself in a harmonious loop. It extends outwards and returns back to itself to begin the process again. This explanation of philosophical mysticism hardly covers the scope of what I hope to achieve with this channel, and in a sense it even fails to convey the core spirit of my thinking. The spirit being something quite beyond direct explanation. In the videos that follow, I hope to gradually spiral my way around this core, so that the words unsaid, the spaces where no footstep can touch, gradually become illuminated by my very failure to fully articulate them. Explaining the mysteries is a type of shadow play. All you can possibly show is illusion, but it is hoped that the discerning viewer can grasp the essence of what is being said. In the gradual unfolding of this channel, I hope to expand upon these ideas presented here, and I hope to contribute to what I see as a ray of hope dawning at the present moment. There are many exceptional creators on YouTube right now. My hope is that I may play some small part in this online renaissance. But for now, we must part and allow silence to reign over us once more. Be well.